the things that he talks about in the clip is, if you are, if you want to be I think he used a stock boy, and you like doing that, by all means, do that. Do what it is that you are called to do, that you love to do. But if your mate has to be okay with that as well. You have to find somebody who sees your vision and fits perfectly with you. I think the issue becomes when we try to make people fit like in our puzzle pieces, bring them together, and they don't fit. And so give me 2 seconds. I'll put that video up, okay? Hopefully it's the right one because they both look alike. I got 2 of them. Ooh.
Most people are what they see. My son only see a great lifestyle. You don't know nothing about the hood. So why would you want to go live in the hood? You wouldn't. You're going to look down on them people. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying nobody better than nobody. I'm not saying that. But when everybody know, man, when you start providing certain steps in life for your kids, for somebody that you're providing it for, when they get the chance to lead the situation, motherfucker, I'm not looking for you to take steps back. I'm looking for you to elevate. Take my name to a different stratosphere. And you should be doing the same for your kids. You don't want mediocrity in your kids. You're not going to say that to your kids. Oh, I'm proud of whatever you do, son. So if your kid go out here, you providing the goddamn two.
That was the wrong video, but we're going to go ahead and use that one, okay?
I knew it. I was like,
it's my birthday. I can do whatever I want to do because it's my birthday.
Smooth was right on.
But
I do not disagree with Smooth.
We'll go back to the other one. You said what?
Somebody in the chat.
I do not disagree with anything that he just said.
So this is the conversation. So this is the conversation that this is a different conversation. We're going to go back to the other one. We're going to talk about this one now, okay? So basically from this conversation, what I got is when if we put it in women's term, if you have gotten yourself to a certain level, let's just say you grew up in the hood and your goal was to get out the hood. You understand what I'm saying? And finally you did all these things to get there. You won't do something to put you back to where you work so hard to get out of. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that a lot of people, what the dilemma that a lot of women who have maintained a certain success come across is, God, I can't go back. I can't choose a partner that can possibly put me back in that situation. Does that make? Do you agree with that? I disagree.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that was going to say too, is that I think that is part of the problem and I think is the burden in a sense, and I may be biased. I'm understanding that I'm looking through the lens of a woman, is that expectation, if a woman makes it, that she shouldn't exclude anybody else. So she came out the hood and she made it to the 1%, that she should still be in a position to choose somebody from the hood. She shouldn't turn her back on the hood. She should still be able to date somebody because she's going to forget where she came from, that kind of mindset. Whereas I don't think that same expectation is put on men. When they make it out, they have options. And so in terms of society, the thing is that the expectation for them to choose better instead of getting the hood rat, that becomes their expectation. And I think that's where sometimes that difference come in, where I just think is just not right, because once you get to a certain level, the idea is you want to meet your match that's either at that level because you're going to be in the same circles, or of course above because you want to probably obtain more, whether that is more in terms of finances, more in terms of social access, just things like that.
So I wholeheartedly disagree, right? Because I think it's so much more socially acceptable for a man who has risen to that level to go back and get the hood rat and clean her up and turn her into somebody who could navigate those circles, right? I think that's where men have more options because they don't limit themselves in their belief that way. Whereas there's like this stigma if a woman, like this idea that there aren't any good men in the hood, right? Like that's nuts. Not every man in the hood is no good or can't read or, you know, is in and out of jail all the time. Like I think that those stereotypes are not only dangerous from outside our community, I think they're equally dangerous inside of our community. There's nothing wrong with reaching back. There are good people no matter where you go, right? But women have become socialized to prioritize social standing, that we look down on each other for doing that. That social pressure to be like, no, you reach this level, you got to pick something your standard. And so much so mistaken, like to what you were saying about a man picking somebody within his social circle. That's actually a standard women impose on men, right? Like that these men should be choosing women who are just as successful as them. But we've heard time and time again men say, we don't care about that. Right?
They say that, but let's be honest, when we look in reality, how often, I'm looking at the total picture, how often do you typically see a man who's in, like, we'll say top 10% or making that level of money with a woman that is and I just don't want to say hood booger, you know, or whatever, but that is that type of woman. That's because I don't see, I'm just saying for me,
So,
I have not seen that often.
So like we like to use like celebrities as examples, right? It happens all the time in that world, but what they do is they prop that person up. They make them the next up and coming artist. They make them the next person who's all over television. They make them the next social media guru. They elevate them and push them and open doors for them to be successful women, right? But women are so like the don't build a man character narrative, right? Like if you do that, he's going to leave you. If you support a man financially, it's going to be a problem, right? And yes, it happens, but it's put such a negative outlook on women elevating men to their social standing, whereas men don't typically have that problem.
And I remember seeing a clip. Dang, I wish I knew what it was so I can reference it directly. That spoke just to that. And I think, did we play it? No, I don't know if we played it on here.
What are you about to say? Because I don't want you to jump.
No, that it was talking about specifically to what Inaz was saying. That you usually have a woman that will open doors for men when they're in a position.
Okay, so we're going to let's pause that because that's going to be the meat later on.
Okay.
Because we're stopping the gap. Okay, but
there's a lot in here to unpack. I actually don't agree with you and Oz. So unless the guy typically knows the woman prior to him getting to wherever he is, he's not going back to just pick up something random. He's not going to go to the local Waffle House and say, "Hey, let me change your life." That only happens in TI videos. That doesn't really in Pretty Woman. That's not a real life something that truly happens. Second, my argument is most men will have an issue with a woman that is, let's call it 6-7 levels above him. That it will work for a little bit, maybe. But it's not going to work long term because he's going to feel inferior, and that's going to play on his ego, and that's going to become a problem. When he starts to elevate, his options will become more open, and then it will depend on the kind of woman that elevated him, on whether he stays true to her or looks for other options. This is just my opinion, but what they do with pretty faces in the hood, they go back and bust them down and still never marry them. They become toys. I'm just going to be honest with you. So I'm going to let Marcus chime in, but that's really my opinion on this.
All right, so I'm going to have to agree with Inaz on this. But I needed y'all to define something for me. When y'all talk about girls in the hood, like, do you mean location? Do you mean attitude? Do you mean perspective? Educate? Like, can you give me like a ballpark of the type of
yes
you're describing?
Yes, just what you just said.
All of the above.
Yeah.
So if let's say she come from the location, but she went to school and she still don't make that much money because everybody with a college degree makes a lot of money. Do y'all still consider that the same?
No, because I look at kind of like just if you elevated and you went through the steps to learn, certain social norms, things like that, and that same chick has that ability to do so, that she can also be a person that will be able to blend and be a complement to the environment in which you're going to be in. I don't consider that a hood booker. What I'm saying is, yeah.
What about if she didn't go to school, but she's an articulate person, she can expand upon the idea?
I don't consider that a hood booker.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be formal education. You can be well versed.
I don't consider that.
So many things that you can do that's not formal education, like going to a university that elevates you. So,
okay, I'm trying to understand so I could accurately answer this question, because like the things that it probably will work on the inverse. Like, now this is why I gotta agree with the AP. It will probably work on the inverse with me about women that I wouldn't want to date long term, and I would end up just busting down. That would so if her only concern is going to the top social club, if her only concern is vacationing the XYZ spot, if she lives her life to be an Instagram influencer and make sure people are jealous of the way she's living, if she don't feel a way, like I like to hang out with my cousins. If I can't take her with me when I go see my family and they're outside in an area that she may not be from, then I don't really want to date her, because I don't want you to feel uncomfortable. And I'm not going to be in a relationship where I got a code switch in my own home. That's crazy to me. Mm-hmm. I'm a very relaxed, like y'all know me. How I am. I'm not about to be with somebody that's extremely uptight or pomp and circumstance. They stand on pomp and circumstance. That's not really my thing. I want to have a good time. I want to be relatable. I want us to have similar energies. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times when you be too uptight, you can't enjoy nothing. I don't know if you ever went on a date with a girl like this, AP, but y'all go someplace and she find a reason to like be dissatisfied with something. That is the most you're like, bro, you mean to the waiter, and you talking to people like they beneath you. Even if you're not acknowledging them, you don't say thank you when they bring you stuff. Like, I'm watching all of that because I'm judging it. Like, you probably think you above this waiter, and I can have more money than everybody there, but it wouldn't matter to me because I'm still looking at her like, oh, well, when I bring you around my cousins or when I bring you around the guys I grew up with or any of that stuff, you're gonna be judging them, and they're gonna get that energy and be like, I don't like her, and that's gonna make me feel away because now I can't go hang out with them because I can't bring you. So I either gotta be with you or be with. I'm just not doing it. I'm sorry.
So, and that's the thing, Marcus. I think that we take things to the extreme. Just because you're educated doesn't mean you're bougie. It's a lot of down to earth women who are, everyday women who cool as hell. You can chill with them. I think the internet has blown. Everybody's on Instagram. Some people don't even have Instagram. Some people are just like watchers on Instagram.
To be honest, I'm the hood booker in my family.
Well, I was answering the question. You guys said if you feel like somebody is 6, 7, I'm guessing 6, 7 levels would be like what Jeff Bezos doing. Mm-hmm. Just like I don't. It's not extreme. I was trying to answer the question. How y'all posed it.
So when I'm thinking about reality, where let's take out those small percentage of that girl was like she's $3 million. That's not the majority of people. Even if you're educated, you're not making that money. You understand what I'm saying? So let's just bring it back down to reality. When I'm talking about everyday people who you come across. Maybe she's educated. She ain't going off on the waitress. She's not doing all of those things, the stereotypical things that they like to say we do. None of those things. We're talking about a cool ass chick who got her shit going on. That in my mouth.
Yeah, there's no problem.
How did I meet them though? Like it all depends on there's so many factors. Like, how did I meet her? What made me approach her? It just really depends. And then when I see her character, that tells me exactly which way I want to move with her. So, like, how did we cross paths? Whether I'm above her or she's above me, how did we cross paths? Were we in the grocery store and I was like, "Ooh, let me go ahead and say what's up"? Was she working at the grocery store? Did I say, "Ooh, let me say what's up," which is unlikely. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? It really matters on where we met, how we met, and those circumstances on
You
we're
know what?
talking
I
about.
think that because I know Inaz brought up the celebrity thing, but what I find, even when I look at celebrities, they find that those people find their match. You know, even if they have money, they find their match. For example, when I look at what's the guy who always beating up on his girlfriend and she's always beating up on him, like
blue
Blueface.
something.
they match. You know, people, just because you have money doesn't mean you're not hood, or that doesn't mean that you are this guy. You match.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? And I think that what I'm saying is when there's a mismatch, because we
Yeah,
can
but
say it sounds good to say, oh, we're gonna date all these people, but in reality, is that really what's gonna happen? Come on now. It sounds great on the internet because nobody wants to come, people coming at them, but that's just not the reality, right?